Good morning, Rocky Mountain Elite. It's Kayla Klein, your current secretary and treasurer and web developer in the chapter. And I want to walk you through how to use ClickUp, which is the project management app that I have set up for the chapter to allow us to keep track of people and tasks throughout every stage of the process, from the time that we invite somebody to the chapter to the time that somebody becomes an active member. So this is the ClickUp dashboard. Everybody should have or will receive an email invite to join ClickUp. So please do that when you get the email. ClickUp is just a project management application. It can be used for a variety of things. I use it in my web design business to track people and clients and projects and things that we're working on. So I thought it could be good for the chapter as well. And before we dive in and I show you an example of how someone would move through this workflow, I want to clarify that throughout this process, I've set up a lot of automations that will automatically assign tasks to people throughout different stages of the process. Just because a task is assigned to you doesn't necessarily mean that you are the one and only point person for that entire task. That just means that you need to be aware of the task at this stage in the process. And you can talk amongst your team in the comments of that task to actually define more specific roles as far as what you are doing with regard to that task. And I'll get more into that later. So here I am just in home in the BNI Rocky Mountain Elite ClickUp. You're going to want to navigate to your spaces, and we have this space here set up called inviting visitors. All members have access to this inviting visitors space. This is where we will go. Ideally is going to be the first stage of the process all of the time. Granted, some people may just register to visit and we might skip the invite phase, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to want to start here in this inviting visitors space in the potential visitors list. So you can see here, we already have some potential visitors who we've invited, but let's create a fake potential visitor so I can show you how all of these automations work. So we'll go here into the open column and we will click new task. And our visitor is going to be named Connor Fulton Smith, who is actually my business partner at Kreativ Alchemy. So we'll save that. And then we can click into Connor's task. The first automation that I've set up is for this description to auto-populate with all of these necessary fields about the person whenever a task is created. So let's fill this out for Connor. His category is graphic design. His business name is Digital Frankenstein, LLC. His website, his phone, his email, and we don't know his calendar yet. Now I'm going to assign this task, Connor, to me because I'm the person who invited him. So I'm the person who needs to be aware that this task exists and follow up with it and move it through the next stages of the process. So you can see now that the status of this is open. Open would indicate that nothing has actually happened. So let's pretend, however, that I reach out to Connor on LinkedIn and invite him to attend the meeting on December 14th. Every single time I do anything with regard to Connor, or any task for that matter, I want to leave a paper trail of doing so here in the comments. So I'm going to put this comment that I reached out to Connor on LinkedIn and invited him to attend the meeting on December 14th. I will click send, and now that lives with the task so we can all see that Connor has been reached out to. And because he's been reached out to, I'm going to move him from the open status to the invited status. Now, let's say Connor gets back to me, but he's not sure if he can make it on December 14th. I might move Connor then to the pending status. And let's say Connor decides to register for the meeting. I'm going to leave another comment saying that he registered for the meeting on December 14th, and I'm going to move him into registered. I also have this not interested category. If someone indicates they're not interested, we can move them into there and it'll close out their task. But let's move Connor into registered. Now you can see when I X out of the task that Connor's no longer in the registered tab. And that is because Connor has successfully registered. So he is now moved into this visitor to applicant pipeline list automatically. And this is in the visitor committee space, which is a private space that only the visitor committee has access to. So once your visitor registers, it gets turned over to the visitor committee here in this visitor to applicant pipeline list. You can see Connor is right here. So let's click back into his task and see what has changed. The first thing you'll see is that, once again, I've set up an automation that will automatically assign anybody who registers to visit to the visitor committee so that they can be apprised of this visitor and they can move Connor through the next stages of the process. And what I was saying earlier, task is assigned to the entire visitor committee, but that doesn't mean that all of these people are responsible for immediately following up with Connor. That can be a discussion amongst the visitor committee regarding who's responsible for what when a visitor registers. And this can also be discussed amongst the visitor committee here in the comment section. So if ever you want to mention somebody, pretending I'm on the visitor committee since I'm doing the demo, let's say I want Peter to be the point person for this visitor. I can mention Peter by commenting, typing the @ sign, selecting Peter from the list, and letting him know I want you to follow up with this visitor, or however you determine as a team you want to handle those communications. You can talk to each other in the comments. And like I said before, try to leave a paper trail of everything that you do with regard to anybody so that everybody is aware of the status. So if you talk to someone, if you email somebody, if they call you, all of those things are really important to leave in the comment section so everyone knows what has been communicated with each visitor. You'll see here we have statuses for all of our visitors in this visitor to applicant pipeline as well. If they miss a meeting, we can move them into the missed meeting status. If they visit once, we move them into visited once. Visit twice, move them into visited twice. If they're not interested, again, we can move them here and it closes out the task. And then when they decide to apply to become a member, we move them into this applied status. So let's just move Connor into visited once, and we'll make a note that he attended meeting on December 14th. Peter followed up via email to gather questions. Again, I'm just making this up for the purpose of the demo. And say Connor visits twice, and eventually he decides to apply to the chapter. So we'll move him into the applied status now. Now, if we X out of the task, here in the visitor to applicant pipeline, you can see Connor is no longer in the applied category. And that's because once somebody applies for the chapter, we have another automation that moves them here into the membership committee space, which is a private space for the membership committee, into this applicant to member pipeline list. So let's click into this applicant to member pipeline list and click into Connor's task and see what's changed. Well, the first thing that's changed is you can see that all of the visitor committee has been removed as assignees, and the task has now been assigned to everyone on the membership committee, who will move this applicant through the interview process, the scoring process, calling their references, and all of those essential tasks. Once again, it's assigned to the entire committee. That does not mean the entire committee is responsible for every stage of this process. And once again, the membership committee is more than welcome to use this comment section to discuss amongst each other the progress that Connor is making through the pipeline, to let each other know who is going to do what to move Connor through the pipeline, etc. Again, you can press type @ and you can select anybody from this drop-down list and mention them if you want them, if you have a question for them, or if you want them to obtain a specific responsibility. Statuses here in the applicant to member pipeline follow the process of interviewing and vetting applicants. So we have need to call references. So when you need to call someone's references, they would be here in this category. When somebody is pending an interview, they would be here in this need interview category. When somebody needs to be scored by the membership committee, they'd be here in this scoring status. And we have pending payment. And at that point, someone's either going to be not selected, which will close out the task, or they're going to become a member. So let's just move Connor through some of these statuses as he would if he was actually an applicant. And let's say we select him. We decide to make Connor a member. So we're going to select member right here. And you can see we've got another automation set up. So this time we have a comment once somebody reaches member that says, we are now archiving this task to retain pre-membership notes for reference. We've created a new task for the member in the all members space. So the reason why we're doing this, and you can see here, if I X out of the task, Connor's here. His pre-membership card is archived here, and he will have a new card, which I'll show you in a second, in this all members space. But that way, if we ever want to look back and reference notes that we made about Connor prior to him becoming a member, the task hasn't disappeared, it's just been archived. And so usually we won't need to look back at those notes, but they are here and they are available should we ever need to in this applicant to member pipeline. But let's look at this all members space now. This is another space that all members have access to. And we'll start here in this member onboarding list. And you can see a new task has been created for Connor within the member onboarding list. So let's open it up and see what has changed now. So you can see the description is the same. We still have all the information about Connor and his business here, but the task has now been assigned to me, the secretary, Ryan Devon, who's the mentor coordinator, who will help Connor move through the next stages of his membership, Ashley, the president, and Paul, the vice president. So the executive leadership team and the mentor coordinator have all been assigned to Connor's new member task. You can see another automation that we've set up is as soon as somebody becomes a new member, this comment gets assigned to me, assigned to the secretary, to add the new member to the website and apps. So I will walk through this comment first, and I can see that I need to update this task with membership renewal dates. So let's do that now. Here in this dates column, we're going to say the start date is today, because today's the day that Connor became a member. And we're going to set the due date as the day when Connor's membership is up for renewal. So let's just say he signed up for a year, which would mean that his membership is going to be up for renewal, we'll say on the 1st of January, 2025. So now we have those dates populated. First task done. Next task is to invite Connor to ClickUp and assign this task to Connor. So Connor is already in ClickUp, but we'll pretend I invited him, and now I'm going to assign this task to him so that he can now be apprised of all of the things that he needs to do as a new member to be successfully onboarded. Next up would be adding Connor to our BNI RME website and our members page. So that's my duty as the web developer, as the secretary. I would add Connor to our website. I need to add Connor's email to our members@bnirme.com alias, and I need to add Connor to GroupMe. And once I've done all of these things, I'm going to resolve this comment to indicate that I have done so. And now I'm going to move Connor from new member to welcome. Now that Connor has been moved into the welcome status, you'll see the first automation that I've set up here is for Connor to get this welcome to BNI Rocky Mountain Elite message. And this message just talks about the first things that we need from Connor to help him get started. That would be updating his profile in BNI Connect with a link to do so, and paying chapter dues, which are $10 a month. And we've got links here for Connor to select which way he would like to pay. I am going to assign up here this comment to Connor so he's aware that he needs to do this. He'll get an email notification. And it says, once you complete these items, click resolve at the top of this comment to let the leadership team know you're ready to move to the next step. So once Connor has updated his profile and paid his chapter dues, he'll come back into this task he will resolve this comment that has been assigned to him. I will get a notification that the comment has been resolved, and that will indicate to me that he's ready to move to the next stage, which is called in training. So we've moved Connor into the in training stage. Once again, I am going to assign this comment to Connor so that he's aware that he needs to do this. He'll get an email notification. And this comment walks Connor through what he needs to do to complete the Member Success Program, or MSP training in Business Builder. And it also walks Connor through what he needs to do to complete his Passport to Success, which is having a one-to-one with every leadership team member. We have a link here to our current leadership team members. And I've also put bullet points that represent the order in which Connor needs to meet with each person of the leadership team. We've got vice president first, mentor coordinator, etc. I've also instructed Connor to click reply on this comment when he meets with someone and write who he met with and the date. So when Connor meets with Paul, he can click reply on this comment and he can say, met with Paul on December 20th. He'll send that comment, and now we know that Connor has met with Paul. Once Connor moves through meeting with everyone and has a comment with the date that he's met with everybody, he can resolve this comment, which will indicate that he is totally trained and ready to move into just being an active member of the chapter. So once training is complete and Connor resolves that comment, we will mark Connor's training as complete. And that is going to trigger another automation that will move Connor out of the member onboarding list and into the active members list. And the active members list is literally just a list of all of our active members. So we can go ahead and add a tag here to Connor because he would be part of the marketing power team. If at any point you, as a member of the chapter, need contact information, calendar links, have a question about your membership, you can always open your member card. We'll open mine right now. And you can see it has information about me, my category, business name, website, phone number. I'm part of the marketing team. My membership is up for renewal on the 1st of April, 2024. And it's also got links to these docs, which I will get into in a second. So there's a look at how you would move somebody from a potential visitor all the way into a member. So let's get into some of these additional docs and resources that I've set up. The first one that you'll find in each space, if applicable, is a doc here, like in the inviting visitors space. And this one says invitee communications. So here we just have some helpful communications that could come in handy when you're inviting visitors, like this invitation email that you could copy and paste into LinkedIn or into your email server. Now down here in the all members space, there are a ton of member resources that I want you to be aware of. A lot of these will replace old resources that you may have been finding on bnirme.com or in the shared Google Drive. So please familiarize yourself with all of these resources that are available. The first one we have here is website information. I've included a doc on how to write a blog post if anyone wants to contribute to bnirme.com. On that same token, I've included a list of BNI Army keywords. So these are keywords for SEO or search engine optimization that you can include in your BNI Army blog post. I've included this HTML for adding new members. If anyone is taking over the website beyond me, this would come in handy. I've also included blog post categories and tags. Again, for whoever would fill the shoes of maintaining the website, you would need to know this information. A doc for our email groups, like members at bnirme.com. Now, our referral buddy system, which was previously updated on our website, it's going to be a lot easier to update and maintain here in ClickUp instead of on the website. So moving forward into the new year, if we continue the referral buddy program, this is where you will find all of this information about questions to guide your conversation and who your current buddy is. I have a doc here for chapter dues with buttons that link to the 3 ways to pay. I have a doc here that explores our entire leadership team, including ELT, coordinators, visitor host, and membership committee. And then this BNI links and resources with links to the BNI website, BNI Colorado, Business Builder, Connect, all of the stuff that you may need to be aware of. The other thing that you will eventually see your name pop up in at some point is this featured speakers space, which I am using as secretary, and whoever replaces me as secretary will use to track people through the stages of being assigned a speaker, and then throughout all of the weeks prior to their actual presentation. We'll open Peter. You can see Peter's speaker presentation is coming up on the 18th. And there's a nice little helpful checklist of all the things that Peter needs to do within the next 6 weeks prior to his presentation. You can see here that Peter would also need to complete his speaker bio so I can properly introduce him. And I've just linked here to the doc where Peter could input his bio. Here's an example of what that might look like if you have already completed your bio, just so that the secretary can properly introduce you before your featured presentation. And if Peter wants to schedule a one-to-one, if Peter has any questions about his presentation, he can come in here into the comments, use @ to tag me, and ask me any of the questions that he might have prior to his presentation. Because he's mentioned me, I will get an email notification that I need to visit the task, and I can reply to Peter and we can have a conversation, address his questions. Within speakers, I also have here speaker resources doc, in which you'll find everyone's speaker bios if they've provided them to me, and the speaker rotation order. With that, I think I have addressed everything that someone might need to know to get onboarded onto ClickUp. The way that I have set this up is very strategic and to future-proof our use of ClickUp so that it's really easy to change the automations as they currently stand when leadership roles change, which is why I've set it up the way that I have. I would really like to use ClickUp moving into the new year to track all of our visitors and tasks associated with being a member. And if anyone has additional questions about how to use ClickUp or how to make the most out of ClickUp, please set up a one-to-one with me and we can go over it in real time. I really want everybody to use this and to get the most out of it. And I think that it can be helpful, but it is going to require everyone's participation. And with that, I will stop rambling. Again, please set up a one-to-one if you have any additional questions, and I hope everyone finds this as useful as I think that it can be for our chapter.